Okay, thanks everybody. Let's get right into it, dive into this follow-up strategy session. Going back from May, incredibly, it was already uh not quite 50 days. We're like day 43, day 42. Just to let everybody know over here on the gold members page, if you're looking for our May strategy session, it's there. Also, I will be updating this page and we're going to change a couple of things. Just to let you know, I'll have some new updates. I'm just kind of moving the library around, and I'm done with the GoToMeeting and the other um, the Sprout video that we've been storing. So if you're missing some videos, let me know. Of course, they're always on the Discord. But let's get into it right now with what we want to be looking for this summer. And as I said, coming into pretty much the next week, 2 weeks, I expect this thing to get dead quiet. And just to kind of highlight what we should be looking for, because it's after really 4th of July, after kind of next week. So right now it is the 26th of June. We did that session on the 14th of May, and I know I even talked about doing it like the 7th of May. So a lot's transpired since then. And I just want to get in front of this, kind of leave you guys with a message here as we get into July. I will be probably taking off most of next week, but I don't want to leave you hanging. And I'm still looking for kind of higher targets within the range, but I do want to get in front of the possibilities here as we get into August, September, the next 50 days. In my opinion, we're going to hit all these targets. So let me back it up. NASDAQ looks like this. NQ. Pretty amazing stuff already. And the upside targets we talked about, I think NASDAQ and semiconductors, those are the two prime markets. I know S&P and the Dow still looking good. And we are still within this kind of a aggressive uptrend on NASDAQ. But as we've seen time and time again, and there's been moments over the last 2 years where things seemed like they were going to fall apart and completely crash. And then what was it? It was just a rather mild retracement. So this is really the point of what I'm saying up here, and kind of the message I want to leave with you guys. We are starting to run dry on long opportunities, and we're at the upper end of the zone. Nothing changes about the multi-year uptrend, all of that. We've hit the limit. For now, we've hit the limit of what we can reasonably expect, and the whole massive 2-3 month rally from the April low or late March low is we're looking like we're ready for a pause. That's it. That's the gist of it. And so, there's a couple of reasons why. There's a couple of things that I'm specifically looking at, and I just want to be out in front of it. We're what, 3% off the all-time high, which was last week. Well, actually, it was Monday. All-time high, 30,975. Call it 31. Now 29.5, 29.6. I did post this again. This 5-minute RTH signal has been great, guys. That was this morning at the 250 level. The open bar was 39.25. And just, I think what I'm personally going to do, probably get back. I've been so heavy in the stocks over the last 2 months that, that took over futures. I think I'll go back to futures and just trade the zigzags. But NASDAQ right now, guys, for where we are, I mentioned this yesterday and I mentioned this Monday, that we're kind of stalling between dot to dots. And I wouldn't be surprised to see something like come back and retest this 28.4 level and just stay within this range. Okay, so they're 28.4 and then 30, kind of 350. That's the levels for now. I don't expect much. All right, I don't expect total destruction. Rather, let this really what started. I mean, we could say that really started Monday because that was the all-time high. So we're 3-4 days into this, and this is going to settle in to become like a stalling range. So be aware of that. Okay, this kind of, I think we've given this enough time here. That next 50 days, what we should be looking for, a resolution of this zone, but it's going to be lower. Like everything got slammed into the last 3 weeks of June. And here we go. Just this move off of the low from mid-June up the last week and a half, not even 3 weeks. And we couldn't bust out. That, as well as the SOX, I think the SOX, these are the two big indicators of what's going on. SOX here. So, I've been wrestling with this for a while, and the SOX has been amazing. And we go all the way to the monthly here. Thank you. Our all-time 3618, this failed extension, that's like 11, 12, 5. All right. Plant that number. It's 12.4, 12.5. I'm watching it now. Okay. Currently 13.4. But this is got to watch this next week how the monthly bar closes. If this goes red by the end of next week, which you still have a few days, and you're under 12.7, that's like 3% lower, then that would pretty much seal the deal. And I don't want to fight this. Okay. So I think what we're looking at here are measured levels have been achieved. We don't have any confirmation. And the other indicator kind of signal could very well come by July as we crack the 50 level. And then we go into yet another pause phase. So, I really thought that this would be something that we would carry us through into July. I think we're scratching the kind of the top end here right now. And I wouldn't be surprised to see this go into like a 3-month sideways consolidation. We cracked the 50 level, guys. If this is at some point in July, the next 50 days, that kind of seals the deal. And it's probably going to seal the deal until, I would say, into November. So the whole move was phenomenal. And I think it's time we're going to go into like a break here. Just be aware of that. Things that were working a month ago, 6 weeks ago, just complete duds. Probably the one that's the biggest dud. We've had a few. This red wire here, I'm still long this, guys. I'm underwater on this. It was daily. There you go. It's a bat on a 4. No, it's a bat on a 4-hour, but decided to go back in. So there you go. Where is it? Hold on. I think this is an example of concept stocks kind of running their course for now. And I'm going to stay long this. Hope we get this T1 up to 1681, but these things are kind of flaring out at the moment. What a joke. Other things that were working or might continue to work, and I think this is going to just get kind of more narrow as we go. Micron and SanDisk. I don't see these things stopping. It's just that we're at the 4 hour dot to dot, and what's happening is that we get a move for about 10 days, 10 sessions, and then we pause. This last one was 3 days, and then we ran right back into another one. That one, Marvel, okay, down here on the 4 hour time frame. These are all looking like they're gonna take more time. Like this explosive move Marvel did up to 325. That might be it for now. So let's be aware of that. I think we've hit kind of early signals here of what's possible, what's maximum possible. You going back to really beginning of the year. Marvel and the other one was onsemi, and onsemi had to look. onsemi was this deep crab on the weekly, down 23. Oh, they're buying Synapse. That's why. And on the 4 hour chart, it was this type 2. We finally hit the T2, failing it. What was the other one? SanDisk looks like this, guys. These things are jumping 5% a day. I mean, that's been pretty remarkable stuff. Hold on one second. Come on. One second. Let me reset this. All right, that's better. So I'm focusing on the SOX, literally right here at 13,400 measured level is 12.4, and then just monitor this. We get the rollover next month. That's done. That's going to be done for I think a few months. I think SOX had its run. It's played out. Be looking for short side, maybe. Certainly backing off longs. There's SMH. And as soon as we cross that 50 level, we can go back in time and look at all these instances where we crossed 50 on the upside or downside. You're probably, that probably happens next month. And a lot like what you saw back in August, which, August, September, October last year, wasn't too bad, but you didn't even get a resumption on the SOX. And it was really April, guys. So I'm trying to jump in front of this. This is where I think we are across the board. Next 45 days. You could take that entire time to back test this 620 area, 630 area, and then roll over. And just go back into a retracement, go back into the zone, come back into the channel. Not what you expected to hear, I'm sure. But this week we're triggering across the board, guys. Across the board. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we've got here. Like SMH right now, a weekly dot. You got 5 hours left, 6 hours left. That dot's set in stone. We're at the 50 level already. And then this will happen next week. We'll get thrown out of here and back down to the 50. So all that, just to be clear with you guys on the semis, you're up here. You're done for now. You're done. You're done for now. I'm okay with that. 4 hour time frame, still nada. Really nothing. And the thing for me was what happened on Monday, late Monday, and then the follow through. We went from dot to dot, dot to dot again, and to just treat that like a pause. I just think we're going to be back into this time frame here where not a hell of a lot's going to go down. And it's so the market's going to shift. The character is going to change a little bit. Obvious SMH retest is back here like 580, currently 618. There's nothing that has triggered here yet. So be aware of that. Meanwhile, a couple of other things that are, things that are interesting that like where should we be looking? Like where are the opportunities now? Any of these oversold kind of things that are retesting major support? I don't know. I just think we've triggered enough where you're oversold, but we're not in a position to go. Oracle, perfect example here. Oracle is all over the place this year, but it is by definition a type 2. Back down here, retesting all of these dots, but what needs to happen? I mean, you're going into the holiday week next week. You're deeply oversold. I wouldn't even look at that until we could get back above the 50, which is a long way to go. So Oracle, and then I talked about Microsoft. Down here is a long-term retracement, 350. We've retested all of the big numbers at 352. That has to hold, guys. So there can be no violation of what just transpired in the last 48 hours. Keep an eye on that. I don't expect this to roll over and break down just yet. We're probably, like, if you look at NASDAQ, all right, we were down 500. Now we're only down 100. We're going to be stuck up in here, kind of range bound. It really is going to be, it's just going to kind of stall out because we're seeing all those triggers already. But 30K, 30,300 on the top side, with an eventual retest, and I think this happens at some point in August. You're back at 28,500 to retest these signals and actually put in another dot before anything can really happen. So I purpose here, we're really looking for this thing to be breaking out and doing what I thought would be the final push up to like the 33K level. I don't like what's transpired in the last week. And I think you're high enough here. Look at the expansion off of here. There you go. 1618 is there. Smashed it. 1902 range is there. All of that like 29.4, 29.5. And what you do? Tried to break through, and then we're putting it. To me, it almost is like it's got some fake out written on it. We've checked back. What I'm thinking is that we're obvious red bar this week, and we get a red bar next week. That dot's in, and that would be just your best case scenario is you go sideways and back down. Worst case scenario is you get something that comes back into the channel here. So this is overdone. I given this enough weekly bars. A couple of weeks ago, I was saying it was overbought, not overextended. Now it's telling us, hey, I'm overextended. And that's it. That's the deal where we're going to have to digest this whole move from April up to June and then let it come in. The obvious, things like this. Where was it? That's D. No, we want C point. Where'd you go? B. And then back down C382. Like that. Like I think it's a what we're looking at is like a 28K. If it's 20, if it's sub 28 or if it's low 28, it's somewhere in the 28K area generally before we see any resumption. So that's the bad news. That's I don't know, just the realistic news. We've got the signals, we got the triggers. We need a dot, and even if it stays strong, like what we saw in August last year, it's probably going to go into this kind of a phase. Chop sideways, definitely not markup. And then the other thing that I'll be looking for, this is weekly. We won't even look for any kind of resumption until we get a weekly oversold again. That's where we are. That's where we are. So next 50 days, pretty much finish this rollover. Next 50 days, like up here, I don't see a hell of a lot of follow through. And I think this is something that you're going to need to get some really clear oversold signals. All these other things that did move, that were the low floaters, they're going to need more time. I mean, ideally. Palantir, guys, this is an interesting kind of story because you did get the breakdown, and I don't like the way this chart looks. And I don't like what's happening with things like this. And this is a big deal. You're at the 50 level, Palantir topped out, and then we've rolled back down. S&P 500, really quick. Same kind of a thing here. We're at the 50 level already on the weekly. That's going to happen today. So timely place to be really talking about this. We have a number of pieces in place that already tipping its hand. We're just going to need one more red bar next week, and that's going to print your dot. And your best case scenario is you do this. Go sideways. That's just, you went sideways September all the way down until March. That's where we are. Look at the weekly. This is the other thing I'm not a fan of. Normally, if I'm going to get amplified to come out of the zone, great. That's not a big deal. But that secondary breakdown move, that's also a big deal. This is, this looks like this. Treat this. There you go. Treat this like this. It's a bat action magnet move. There's your B point. And it's all today. I mean, I think everyone wants to hear this thing just keep going up, but it's triggered. So it's been fun last 6 weeks, 7 weeks, been really fun, and again, since April, that was what we were looking for all along. And I think now we're just going to cap it. Where to be looking? Where are the long opportunities? I mean, real turnaround long opportunities. I'm just waiting for gold, silver, kind of put it and finish these lows. And I think it's just early, guys. I think whether you want to go short you still need some things to happen here. You want to go long on some depressed items. I'm looking at gold here. That's a weekly oversold together. So I would be looking for gold and silver to make a low in the next 30 days, maybe 60 max. And then that would set up for a move. I still say, 48 to 5,000 once that's finished. Other places that are, that have set up recently, where is, so this kind of a thing, just to be clear. Where is it? There you go. So HPQ monthly, weekly or monthly, doesn't matter. We're going to get back for the type 2, and this is something else that we've seen a lot of, even though there are a lot of number of patterns that just blasted. This is going to end up being a perfect type 2. So I've been waiting on this to come in. I don't think it's anything we need to fudge until we get down sub 20. And it's a lot like Intel from a year ago. Let it come back, retest that 1873 on the monthly, guys. Let's stick with framework. That's reaction written all over it. The same can be said for Google. All right, look at that monthly. There's a lot of things in the monthly there that will be official next week. But daily, Google, guys, I've been saying this for like a week or so. The next opportunity for Google is down here at 290. It's kind of like the way Oracle traded. So big up move, looping retest like there, and then all the way back down. 290. The rest of it, I'm kind of hard pressed at the moment to find major things that are just rip roaring. Been through a lot of different setups and looking for things that are possibly depressed, oversold. Here's Gartner Group, guys. This is new lows down here, but look at the patterns. Kind of checking back. There's really not a hell of a lot to go off of just yet. You don't want to jump in on these. We don't want to be premature without having clear confirmation, even turnaround behavior. And a lot of that's defined by simply looking at HSI. Okay, HSI on the weekly, it's crossed the 50, still lower. Gartner Group, that was a darling for 10 years or more, and it completely broke down. So that's, we're not that far off the all-time high. Again, it's something where even things like Robinhood, okay, tried to get a pretty nice low off of that recent support at 60. And this is the way to be thinking about it. You've got a number of things that need to be retested. If you don't have a retest, if we don't have clear dot, diamond, whatever, just let it go. And I'm going to say it this way. It's going to be a frustrating couple of months if you're looking to trade. It's going to be range bound. All right, because we're so used to it was such a great run. I'd see this thing just kind of just gonna take. It's just gonna eat up, gobble up time and price, and you don't get a lot of progress. Now, I'm still super bullish, and I want to talk about some longer term targets. And I mean this, and I'll get into it in a second. Of what we need to be thinking about going into next year. Going into next year at 27 and 2028. But we are entering a retrace phase again. And it's a lot like what we saw, again, the early part of the year. And then we got the signal, and then it just exploded. And that's how this has been. Look, QQQ, guys. All right. What do we got up here? We just got to listen to the software. Arrow, diamond, where's our dot? Can we get a retest? 748-ish. We'll know really soon because look, we're cracking the 50 this week. So again, Friday today is timely. It's quite timely to be here. Quite timely to look at this. All right, you're cracking the 50. That should drive us to an oversold condition. And the bigger thing is that we want to see Amplified get to the 50 and break it for that continuation. But this kind of peak here, double top, lower top here. All right. That's firmly in as of today. Friday's close. And treat this as a BAM, bat action magnet move scenario where you got the 1, okay, midpoint there. There's 2 at a lower high, and then you break the B point, and that sends it back down. So opportunity-wise, I would say almost short side, but I just don't think it's going to be that much. I don't think it's going to be. It's going to be kind of like a mild sideways digestion phase, like what you saw again back here. QQQ effectively topped out in mid-September, and we really didn't move until March, end of March. And this just could be a whole nother pause phase. So more pause than anything else, but that gets you into like November, December before we trigger anything. That's going to be lame. Really lame. And I want to highlight like 3 or 4 stocks that have been absolute leaders on the upside, and now they're rolling over. Lumentum, okay, it's probably this one and Coherent. A couple of the others, big data center plays. And what's going on? Because weekly, we're oversold, but we just hit that. Also, weekly, we're cracking the 50 level. So look out. And we've seen that before, which was 2025. We cracked the 50. All right. And then we cracked the 50 on Amplified a little later. And you get that acceleration. But that's understand, these are weeks. And that's what's going on here. There's not a hell of a lot here until we put in, I don't know, 6 weeks, 8 weeks to finish that off, come in here and be down here oversold for 3 or 4 weeks. Lumentum, Bloom Energy, guys, that was, just at all-time new highs. But yesterday, that was all-time new highs. I'm thinking this thing has, with the weekly kind of close of where it is, we're going to automatically go back to the 50 level. You break the 50, that's going to be a problem. And Bloom Energy here, I mean, maybe that's one for a short. And we're watching for that breakdown too. Last time we saw this sub 50 character, I mean, we could say it was back in March and you went sideways before something turned around. I would say even back here in January, early January, your best case scenario is that it goes sideways, but you're going to need some kind of oversold trigger. That's it. That's what's going on. Bloom Energy, Lumentum, Coherent. These are getting toppy. Coherent, getting toppy. And Coherent, I mean, in a year, it's up 300, 400%. I don't, wherever that happens, however far that went, that's fine. I'm more concerned with this kind of behavior that really started this week. It started this week. And then this is going on too. Like you fell out of the zone. You're headed straight back to the 50 level. And that caps this whole range. So Coherent, meh. Lumentum, eh. What was the other one? We have things like Dell, of course. I mean, Dell and where's SanDisk and Micron? These will probably be the last ones to fall. Hold on. Where's SanDisk? Where'd you go? Where's SanDisk? Let's just put in the symbol. Well, off 132. You almost have to look at that and split it 10 for 1. Yeah, this is it. SanDisk like this. Look for next week. Low volume, holiday week. They sell it off. That's going to trigger the downside and go sideways. That's it. Not that it's going to be, I think, like a complete collapse, but you've stopped going up for now. You stop going up. Yeah. Even with this, like there's the 4-hour RTH. I mean, SanDisk has got to find itself back at 2090. Another 10% lower to trigger that. Couple more. What happened to like Meta and the rest of these? That's the question, because Meta's down here at 550, all retesting last year's patterns. That's like Microsoft. Google's in a better position. There you go. I'm looking at last year's patterns, guys. They all need to hold. All right. We don't have any immediate support, but 522 on Meta is retest to the hop level, and you better hold there. So, watch that. Meta's got nothing. You're currently 550. The last thing it did, and that was about 2 weeks ago, you got overbought. There. Check back last week. Send it back down. So you didn't get any development in these big Mag 7. That one, NVIDIA, real disappointment. And NVIDIA showed us this a week ago. This kind of action, not getting above the 50. I'm seeing this in a few other markets where you tried to poke the 50 and then you sent it back down. I think that's where you're at. So uneventful summer. Take the time. NVIDIA is going to be a channel retest as well, which is more like 185, not 193. Never got to the 1618. What a shame. But just within this channel, going to do the retrace, going to trigger the low end, maybe even take it out like 2025 and go again. Here's the daily. So seeing a lot of these, seeing rejection of the 50, and then headed back down. All of this spells into like next week, spills into next week to kind of finish getting oversold down here. What was the other one? Nebuous. Nebuius. Another data center play. This has a, where is this one? Yeah, daily breaking down. Daily breaking down, retesting. Oh, I don't know. You're 240. I mean, you got to get back to like, come back and retest like 200. A few other ones, bigger ones. So hold on. Oh, here's silver. Silver and gold, like I said, I think they're in the process of trying to put in a summer low. There's silver. Our bigger number was like 65. You're at 59 currently. You got oversold. That's got to pop out. But you're 2 or 3 weeks away. So a lot of this, it's not ready. You know, if you're looking to get long, that's probably a month away. And the rest of it, it's kind of flared out. Yes, that's the word, flared. Flared out. SPY, guys, where can we go here? I not a biggie, but you know, minimum retest would be come back and retest that diamond, which is like 690. So this is just all set up to come in here and do like I don't know, the second half of the 100 days be a big disappointment. You know, you're day 43 now, and another 57 days puts you pretty much mid end of August. So just be aware of that. I think we've kind of crossed into that digestion portal. There you go. And looking at what's that, 4 weeks, guys. That's what matters. And I was saying this as we were really raging in May and early June. The top isn't going to be like a single inflection. It's going to be 3, 4, 5 bars that kind of look like this. And then all you need is a breakdown close next week under 725 that we start to kind of retrench, retrace obvious levels. I think 675. It's all there. It's all there. Watch the socks. Socks putting in that. The two things happening this week on socks that will be big. Second dot, we're checked back there, and then we've clearly broken the 50 level. You go back a week, we were there, we were at all-time new highs on Monday, and then we decided to flush it out. The 3618, I want to be clear on this. Why do I only use 3618? Because some people say, what about like a 424 or something bigger? No, because you're going to get this kind of a thing. You're going to get the expansion move. Perfect character here. We broke out of the 1618. We went extreme expansion, and then confirmation. There's your dot. Second dot. Red candle, red candle. Consider this overspill. I really think you come back and backtest socks like 12.5-ish. People are going to say, all right, this is going to crash. I don't think it's going to crash, but you're definitely coming back to pause. This at 13.4 now. Now we're overextended, okay? I said it. Now we're overextended. By the close of today, we're overextended, guys. And we're 3% off the high. 5%. What was the high? 14,655. And we're currently what? 13,350, 330. So you're looking at that beginning stages now of a pause, digestion, and it's official by 4 o'clock today. What do you do? I'm gonna say it this way: you tread carefully, and until we can get some major market signals, you're going to be in a lot of chop. So I probably start to get back to Nasdaq, NQ, just trading stuff like the 5-minute RTH triggers. Now what, 190? Oh, look at that. And that would be fine. You know, you're looking for some excitement. Well, there's two perfect RTH triggers. You know, down here and then right there. 5-minute time frame. Open bar trigger is 605. The high was 618, and then they threw it down. 150, and you're done. You're done. You're done. Rest of it, gonna have to be patient with this market, guys. I want to say this before it happens, so that when it does happen, you're not disappointed or you haven't heard about it. What would I be looking at right now? I mean, it's things that have set up, bigger names that we've talked about, things like Target. That's a massive monthly pattern where this should be continuing to make progress. That's just enormous, but not exciting. I feel like I'm reaching here. Might as well just kind of maybe take the time, take the next few weeks, and just back off. Other areas, things that there's USO monthly. That's done. It's probably why the end of all of that activity from the last couple of months. That's why the market raged. That's done. And that's a great example. Look, oil leading USO. Arrow, dot, diamond, second dot. Break it down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Break down, break down. USO won't even stabilize until this comes out. So if you're looking for reasons, I'm showing them to you. What else? I don't know. A lot of these are just, Wolf and Walmart. I just think we've kind of step back into a pretty boring time frame. DRAM, talking about this, and I think this is tradable, but we've hit some targets just in the last 2 days. We hit a check back, 1, 2, our third kind of a overbought signal here on the regular trading hours. There's extended, and that's what that looks like. So again, DRAM, this is the Roundhill Memory ETF. It's got SanDisk and it's got Micron and others. It's a T2. Couple others. Will MX go a lot lower? We've been waiting on that dot. I mean, MX was 8 and then 15, and you're at 21. Where's our dot? Still need a dot. Waiting on the dot. Weekly looks like this. It's still within this pattern. It got to 8, backed off. Now it's, 471. It's pretty lame. I need another oversold, and preferably on the daily. So we're waiting for 2 bars. And again, this is probably going into like a sideways consolidation to finish off this oversold. Get a dot somewhere here, and then you can start the next wave. But you're going to have to digest what's going down. Some of the other ones, like I'm still in this SMR. Talk about sucking air out of the room. Finally SMR coming back to retest that dot at 9. I'm still long. It's not a monster position, but I hate being in a drawdown. But I'm just going to have to wait on it. I mean, SMRs like this, it's still a type 2. Going to take time. Man, oh man, I'm just going to have to change this. Anyway, I think you just, people are going to be disappointed if you're looking for this thing to fire back up when it's kind of topping out with today's close. Beyond that, guys, things like, Google, lower, Microsoft, more time. I'll give you one here. Even I'm looking at my Altria. This is like one of my slow move, long-term investment turtles. And I'm looking at this. Is this a massive type 2? So I really got to watch this. Big Gartley up here. Is that it? So I'm looking at every sector, and I'm really trying to figure out, is this going to be like a 1-3 month pause, or is this going to be something that takes you into like November? You got the midterms, you got all of that, where if this was going to continue to rage, we'd be raging, and we're triggering it this week. That's it. You're triggering all the stuff this week. What else? Yeah, so here's like Keel, guys, and Hive. So those have been great winners. And I don't, as fantastic of a move as that is, I'm thinking Keel probably needs to come back and retest like $5, or Hive even better. Like, might be time to wait for these to come back down. We have a dot yesterday, literally yesterday, in Hive. So is that a reaction, and then we wait for it to go back down? I'm leaning that way. Probably by next week, you break it down here. If you got to come back and retest like 340 again, I don't want to be down there. Yeah. Some of those others, yeah, I hear you on the software stocks. Snow, I mean Monday, yeah, but look at this chart. Monday.com. I know that it was lumped in with all the software stuff. Okay, but what's the problem here? Did you really break out yet? Not really, and you just put in a counter HSI. So I would be patient with this stuff. Take the time. I mean, I mean over the literally next 50 days, where this stuff, if you're looking for it to continue to go higher, that's not what's going on here. And it's official by today. So really was looking for this thing, larger move, where go back to QQQ, we could get that overspill into July. I was thinking maybe we retest 350 and then put a dot up here, 360, 760, 780, something like that. Not with what's going on here. And again, today it's official, especially with this weekly bar on Amplified. Official. Couple others. Things that are, let's say it this way, not really working well, that need to be looked at, like Netflix. Okay. Deeply oversold, guys. No opportunity there. Like you're checking back this weekly signal. And this is a good example of things that aren't moving or have retraced quite a bit and need to retest. They're going to look like this. And so Netflix and Intuit, those were great names. These are weeks, if not months away from doing anything. So I see what people are saying of like, okay, maybe it's time to get in on this. It's gone down too far, too much. It needs to set up. And that setup period is probably still going to be 50 days from now, even if that was the absolute low. One or two other ones. Hold on. Meta. What was the other one? We did ServiceNow. Yeah, even here's the quantum. And I would love to get a retest of a lot of these quantum patterns. If it's qubits, D-Wave, this is reaction. And where's the likely retest on qubits? 1850. I still like quantum. It just, you're in the process here of trying to stabilize, put in a secondary low before that can go again. And that's back at 18. Perfect example. I mean, just another example here where you went up, you tried to do the breakout, it was still a type 1, you got to come back. What else? Well, I will say this, okay, Reddit, great pattern. Looked like we were making progress. I think Reddit's another one. You see these massive patterns, they get the reaction, and look, dot, dot, dot. Despite it being up 8 right now, I think you need to re-register a whole new confirmation. And that could be all the way back at 141. And this could still work. That's the other thing I want to say to you guys, that these bigger patterns still might work, but what we've seen is they just want to do a dud reaction for now. I don't know, guys, give me some ideas, because the big names we've been following for a while are all in retrace phase and, sending it back down for another retest consolidation. Yeah, HIMS is a good one. I definitely agree with that, but not exploding, but better, much better. I don't know, things like HPE, you look at stuff like that where, I mean, incredibly, that was 19, went to 62, bringing it all the way back, not no dot, you're still checking back. What are you gonna need? You're gonna need 2 more days. I mean, it's just, I don't like the look on it. And HPE was a breakdown all the way back here. Where was that? Like 3 weeks ago. And then today, literally today, big follow through on the 50 level. So that's not where you want to be. You got to let that kind of fall in. Other things that, look promising. I'm still long Intel, guys. I'm watching this closely. Daily, we've rolled over. What about the weekly? I really thought 120 was a big breakout. You're still 10 points above that area. 130 is the top end. So I'm watching this because what Intel will now do, you had the check back last week, one bar, a second bar, you're done. So I'm really thinking about that. Like, do I just kind of take the profits after 2 years or more and then go to the sidelines? And that's where I'm at. I don't like the look. And I think you got stuff like, listen, Lumentum is a classic example that this is the AI trade right there, Lumentum. It's not as crazy as SanDisk, but that's really the AI trade in a nutshell. And if this is going to break down, you're going to close under 775. That's the one to look for. We already got the signals, the breakdown at the 50 and the other one. Qualcomm is another one where I'm thinking this is reaction. Qualcomm's up here, manic move all the way up, all-time new highs, smacked it right back down from 250 to 200. And this week you're putting in the diamond, which means the way we look at the diamond is look at half the bar. Where's the middle of the bar? Because that's really diamond resistance at 212. And what? Bring it all the way back down? Like looping type 2? Yeah. Kind of a downer, but that's with today's close, that's where we're at. It's not a good spot. Not a good spot if you're trying to be bullish. No, we have to understand that this breakdown at the 50, that's a massive signal. Massive signal. A lot like what we saw back in October. And what happened? You went from October and you didn't even get a dot until April. And that's a long time to sit into anything. And we break the 50 level on Qualcomm. Yeah, I'm looking for a looping type 2. All depends on the SOX. See what the SOX does. SMCI. So that's another one I've been looking at that forever. All right. SMCI's got a couple of levels. This daily type 2. It's perfect. What is it lacking? It's lacking confirmation back at that 22 level. So I've done nothing, and my guess is that since we're already sub 50 across the board, that goes lower, and until you trigger some kind of confirmation. I'm going to wait on all of this. I'm not going to mess around with any of it. Too many things. Where's even Tesla, guys? Nothing. Tesla is like this. I've been waiting, wanting to get some kind of oversold weekly signal. And I think that comes all the way back down to like 340, guys. How do I know? We got rejected off the last bearish dot area, which was 444, and send it back down to 340. These are not in a position where they run. Taiwan semi. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Weekly. But where's the daily? There you go. Daily. So back retest 328, 327. Looking like that. I don't like what happened this week, flat out. Or let's just say the date has changed. And so the second half of this 100 days is probably where we go back and retest a lot of these triggers. And that's it. Kind of sucks, but that's where it's at. I mean, even here's Tower Semi. This is another one I talked about. You know, and I do think next week is the week where if you haven't triggered this week, we'd certainly trigger next week. Again, 50 HSI, when it looks like that, is ugly. That's a weak sideways capping action at a minimum. One or two more. I mean, I don't need to kind of like go round and round all day. Vertiv, that's the other one. Back down. Another AI trade. I would need a dot, guys. I would need, and you come back, you retest Vertiv here at 300, and you would still need two more dots. So a lot of these are they're like at a minimum 3 weeks away, which says July wants to just do nothing. Definitely nothing. A couple other ones. BDTX, I don't know what that is. Black Diamond Therapeutics, I got nothing. It's a type 2, but you have zero confirmation. And if the market's going to just get capped for the next month, these will too. That's that. 3 weeks. That has to pop out, check back. It's just not there. I mean, maybe come August or September, but that's kind of how this all has come together in the last, I don't know, the last 5 days of trading basically capped this whole market. For sure. One or two more, guys. Again, I'm not, I don't want to like rain on the parade here. I don't expect a lot of conviction. My hope is that we get oversold. We get oversold and we do it quickly. But as of today, you know, even with this SOX, I have to respect that. I think what you're looking at is a measured 3618 with overspill. There's the confirmation. We're done for now. You're done for now. Can it set up something come the fall? Yeah. The bigger one, guys, so the Bitcoin situation, I think this is where the market, you know, has problems. And I think Bitcoin 59,000 right now, trying to fight for that 60K. It doesn't matter. We know 39K is the number. But this would be how you really kind of demolish this second half of the year for crypto. You flush it out, you fail it, you go into next month. Literally, look at the weekly, monthly candle here, and get one more follow through red month. Then Bitcoin finds itself at 39K quickly, and then I think the blow up of like MicroStrategy is absolutely happening right before our eyes. Only number only number I have left on MicroStrategy is $20. Go back and test the hop level. So that's probably how Bitcoin gets to 39K. It's because of that, and it's because of strategy, and then the sentiment will just absolutely crush them. Look at this. There's strategy. This thing is worthless, guys. It's worthless. 314 all the way down, like that would be a capitulation. That's like 61. Nobody's touching that. I've been really clear about all of this, and I think even the stuff like XRP getting back, as we've been saying, to 65, 70 cents, it's just a matter of time. And we want to stick with the framework. That's it. We don't want to fight this. It's another 886. And I don't look XRP and a lot of these. I have questions. All right, do these recover? Period. Because XRP's done this, and everyone's. I don't know how people say XRP is going to 10,000 or whatever when you continue to print stuff like that. All-time 886, and then do nothing for 2 or 3 years. That's, I think, the other thing people are missing is that they're trying to call a bottom, another 886, but then don't do anything for a couple of years. XRP, the next one. This is just another 886. That's 75 cents. I have no doubt. So all of that lower, it's probably going to be the one area that truly gets decimated. And I mean, in the this summer, 2-3 months. Circle is the other one, guys, that what garbage. Full on 886. Here you go. This is a pretty nice type 2. I mean, that's exactly what you want to see. Type 1 all the way up, back down. Type 2 just went on, but we need confirmation after the fact. That's it. So I'm not fishing in crypto. I'm looking for a lot of these things to come back in. It's and I think if you're looking for stuff to get long, after this whole thing, it's just I think you got to go lower. You're gonna have to go lower and trigger the oversold. Even something like this. Okay, so aerospace. I wanted to bring this up. Post SpaceX, ASTS, and Rocket Lab. We were looking for these kind of dots down here, which just retested yesterday or the day before. They're still going to need time. Like today was retest day, but I'm not even looking at that until we can get back above the 50 level. That's how I know it's time to take a break, guys. This is like, go take the next 2 weeks and then come back. That's pretty much my plan. One or two things that I've really liked, GE. All right. I mentioned this on Monday. Great long term, but now it's going to have to come back in. That's probably, the better of the situations, but you're still up there. Dell, same deal. Look at what Dell did though today. Clear break of the 50. I just, when we get to that point, guys, you have to recognize that as a massive change, confirmation of signal change. I know sharply higher demand and everything they're reporting, but for us, where are the signals? Not until that registers. So there's not much here on the long side I can offer you guys. Rocket Lab was the other one, and that needs a dot. I mean, these are just so deep oversold now, and we've been waiting for them to generate, a dot and a turnaround. And what happened? You got to the 50 and they sent it back down. We never got out of the 50 level. Like that 50 level, when you go from oversold and break the 50, that's the event. I mean, even here, okay, you got overbought, you crossed the 50 for the first time, and that was May. And then here's the BAM breakdown. This is kind of I think the real takeaway of today. Yes, we're waiting for that 50 level to be the confirming factor. But if you get that kind of a breakdown where you can do an XABCD there in the 50 and you break it, you can start to jump on acceleration to the downside. So, that's the deal. That's where we're at. I will be scrubbing these pretty hardcore once we get down here and we can, generate some oversold or get some patterns. But after today, most of them are in a spot where it's like, all right, just step back. Not a hell of a lot of opportunities here. What's that? DigitalOcean. Okay. Another AI trade. Where does that go? Fill the gap. Fill this gap down here. Like 110. Yeah. I mean, all of them. That's just, I want to be in front of this, guys. Zillow, meh. I mean, I see what you're saying, but that's got nothing. It's a great pattern with confirmation, but then when you check back, what happened? I mean, there was the check back, and we're still not above the 50 level across the board. And this could just keep dipping to the hop at 19. Weekly, Shark at 27, and you're oversold. Like these are the kind of things that if you see them, you're super early. I mean, you're deep oversold. Not yet. Amplified, you're still oversold, guys. So I hard pressed to find a lot that I could offer you. And that's why I think this next 30 days, 50 days is kind of going to be a dud. Hate to say it. Yeah, despite all the talk. QSI, that's got patterns down there. Put in a dot yesterday. Maybe today's day one, but all of these, including the market, they need to have HSI going above 50. So today you had that open trigger at 85. It's currently 83.74. Today's day one. Literally day one. And no need to get into it until we're above that 50 level, maybe next week. Damn shame, because this thing picked up a lot of speed, and then what happened? Ran right into that counter signal again. And this just could be back down for another longer term dip. You got lots of support down here, but instead of busting up to do a T1 now, it was kind of dud reaction. So all the way down here at 85, 73 to 90 is your general range. But I'm more concerned with the time. Like the amount of time it's going to take to get out of here is a lot. Yeah, HRL, Hormel, this is like, I know it's here. Hormel's a weekly, maybe even a monthly, the food stock. Yeah, I mean, it's all right. You're balancing, great, but really catching a knife. I mean, maybe you get to 28, but wasn't this a monthly? It was a monthly. All right, the monthly looks better on Hormel. You'll have a dot by next week. So July is month number one. Has to be. Shark completes. The dots formed at 23, currently 26. You got to wait for that. It's kind of like Target was a year ago. And other ones, I mean, it just Tyson Foods, a lot of these defensive, they're not doing much. I mean, you're talking years here. We want things that are trending. All the stuff that's trending got capped. Will get capped. I mean, if you're looking for a stock, like I still like GE, but now let it do a retrace. And I still like Apple, but it's doing its own retrace. And the way they talk about this, you would think it's the end of the world. Apple, just another one, got up 320, top end of the channel. It's still going to stay within this channel. But even Apple and Google, these are all primed to kind of do this for the next 1 to 3 months. You got to wait. Listen, the way the market's been trading, especially the last 2 years, is like a hurry up and wait. You get 2 months, and then you don't do anything for 3 or 4. So I put futures on the side. I think it's time to go back. Go back to NQ and ES and day trade that and just let this other stuff set up. 166 currently. And what's happened this week? I think you just need to take this into Monday of next week and see if we can get some support off this lower level. This pattern at 28,682, that is a big structure, big deal. Big deal. We literally, I mean, all summer long, if we violate that hop level at 28.3, then you'll see much lower. I don't think that's going to happen. I think what you're looking at is some kind of dud reaction, come back down to like 28.6, something like that, and then start up again. What is yeah, the 4 hour. So that's the other trigger, clearly. Can we break down or break out of this? Not clear. And I think with next week being a holiday week, you're not going to see a lot of follow through. You're not going to see big days up or down. A few hundred here, a few hundred there, but we're going to come into this low volume environment. People aren't really going to grab positions either way, probably more to the downside, and then retest recent support 886. Off the June low. That's the other kind of crazy thing, is that the 886 off the June low is here. 28,565, 1,000 lower. So don't be surprised, guys. That's just been my takeaway after the last week. I'm glad I waited this long. I mean, we're only, since our last session, we're 43 days, 42 days into what I thought would be a 100-day run. We're not going to do it. We're probably going to get sluggish here going forward. If we were going to just sail through, guys, it was going to be off of that type 2. And we ran right into multiple dot diamond, that confirmation up there at 30,900. That was it for now. Longer big targets. All right, so I want to be really clear. We're in a pause. And that pause is going to go on for 1 to 3 months, in my opinion. Either we continue it in July, August, September, and stretch that out into the fall. Definitely possibilities here. The obvious kind of retest points, things to be looking for, like I said, mostly on the weekly. Come back, retest the midpoint here. Your worst case scenarios, okay? Worst case, come back and merely retest April, which is like 25, 26. All right, we're going to get a dot. One more bearish week, we're going to get a yellow dot, and that should really cap it. And I would not look for anything. Once we get that yellow dot, and if that's next week, then start thinking like this on the weekly, that you go sideways to down until we get another HSI, and HSI cracking 50. Longer term, if it's SOX or if it's QQQ, NASDAQ 100 is like this. We are still in that extreme expansion. 2618 was there. There you go. That was May. And then our larger targets, the 314. That's why we're pausing. That's why I'm saying too many things are coming together. That our 314 pause is pausing. So let it do its retrace. It could be the last two, like that, or even like that. 2025 seemed like end of the world, and it was a blip. The most recent one from February, March seemed scary, but it was less than a blip, and it's the same thing. It's going to seem like it's a big deal in the short term, but it's going to be 2 or 3 months. And then we finally finish it up where let it come back in. I think it's 28 something, maybe sub 28. And we'll get another trigger, and then we'll do that final leg move, which is going to be 34. Depending on the chart, if it's the index, QQQ, whatever, 3618 move is up here at 34. But that probably comes more like December into January. But right now, pause it, take the time. I really mean that. I just think all the signals are there. And that's it. I mean, again, I don't want to overdo things in the wrong environment. Yeah, I think what probably the best time now going forward is trade these ranges. Like just trade 5-minute signals. Let the stocks come in. I posted this. This QQQ, well, no, this was a, sorry, NASDAQ had the same kind of pattern this morning. QQQ type 1. There's 10 points. Confirmation was 05. There's the dot checking back at 13. Those are pretty clear. 5-minute charts, 30-second charts, and work in the morning and then take the afternoons off. This is the summertime. And we're not going to get the move that we're not getting that follow through move. Everything triggered last week with that big push up and no follow through. QQQ 30-second time frame right here, 713. There you go. Send it back to 709. So I will be back into this. That's my plan. Let me know if there's anything you guys want to look at. I really think it's yeah, no more pattern day trader either. Sure. And that I'll be, screaming top of my lungs as soon as we get some dots or some confirmation. But this has been, I think, a big part of the battle. Can you simply wait for the signals to generate? Like Apple, right? Who doesn't want to own Apple over the next 5 years? Where's the next jump on point? It's lower. Apple could be all the way back at 250. Love Amazon, guys. Been waiting on Amazon dots ever since all the way up here. Since 260, where did the dots come in? 240. That describes it all. And I would say, what, today's day, like off of that day 4? And the weekly is coming in here. Hard and fast, get oversold. This is going to happen next week. So I've been looking at it since 260 for Amazon. Now it's 230, and I would say, all right, let it come in more. Let it come next week. Go in, pivot out. So instead of trying to jump on something at a high level, I will let this kind of come in and do its thing. But that's probably most of July. And the Amazon, these other ETF type vehicles, let me show you this one. AMZZ actually is the one I want to look at. Just back down here, dot to dot, AMZZ, which is the 2X long. Yeah, that hasn't even triggered yet. 27-ish. But how do we know that it'll really get going? When it's here and trending higher, just like the last time. So we're not even close. Get like from there, break out, or even if you got in early, like there, and now is back early March, still not a bad spot. But you got to get above the 50. We're nowhere close. I don't know. That's what I have. That's what I have. I mean, it's putting this together. I hope to have maybe a little better position outlook for things, and not with this week's close. Look at BlackBerry. This thing is mind-boggling. This might be a special situation. Something's going on here. Amazing. I'm still looking for individual kind of possibilities, but a lot of these they've flared out, especially the big runners. I mean, BlackBerry is interesting. If this is really going to go, you look at the all-time chart here. BlackBerry did nothing for decades. Now what? Is that the start of something massive recovery? Software's kicking it out. We're going to have to come up with a new list. And the rest of it, meh. I will, as we go along, I'll highlight some things. Yeah. LAES, still long LAES. I am. I added to that a couple of weeks ago, and it's just parked here at $3. All right. I need to see this get above the 50 and trend higher for a week or two. I need that to get above there. So, I'm not happy to be stuck in some of these positions, but I'll play them out. QNC is the other one, guys. This is a low floater. And I mean, it looks pretty good here. It's not aggressively moving up on our weekly time frames like that or like that, but I'm still long it. I have a gain. I'm back in all the way back in here. It's like a year ago. Where was that? No, it wasn't there. It was where was that? It was more like back here. Like $2. Beyond that, I'm open to suggestions. Other than maybe a few things, and I would certainly be more like day trading this environment. Beyond that, bigger signals are going to need time. It's been interesting. Here's SpaceX 886, right? We did it. All right. What's it need? It needs a dot. Needs a check back. 886 is that's 142. Still kind of need to check back. So even like, look, I know everyone wants to trash SpaceX. Our plan all along is get to the 886, let it do the frenzy, come back, 886. Can we get a dot? All of that's like 147. You just have to sit on the sides with a lot of these and let them come to you. Love the Skyworks solution still. Now we're oversold, and here it is. We finally got the Type 2 with confirmation. So watch Skyworks Solutions. No confirmation. Now we got confirmation that will pop out on Monday. So there are a few, but they haven't set up. And again, next week is going to be a real dud week. Low volume, not a lot of action. You're probably going to be taking more time to stabilize. Beyond that, my suggestion is going to be go light, take this time now into July and August, and come back, really come back August, September when they bottomed out. What are the new Mag 7? That's a great question. The new Mag 7, I think it's something to consider after we get this through this retracement, because Micron, that's one of these where Micron's 1.32 trillion. If I don't trade off of fundamentals, but I'll sure look at them. And their revenue numbers were ridiculous. And I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. So Micron would have to be the top of that list. But the next jump on point is back here, basically at 1050, or the next dot, and you're nowhere near. Micron, SanDisk, and that's gotten toppy here at 323 billion. 4-hour time frame. What's there? You had this high level bullish to bearish. Yeah, I mean Bloom Energy. That's been in the top runners, but I don't think you can say that's really Mag 7. I mean, Bloom Energy here to go back to 228 and retest that pattern is a prime example of locating the next opportunity. You want to get long Bloom Energy and try to ride the wave. Well, even in as aggressive of a generational move that's been in, looping type 2 is 228. Wait for it. I'll do you one better, okay? Guys, remember Baidu? Remember we were talking about Baidu last year? Remember the monthly here? Was it monthly? Oh no, it was Baba. Baba with the monthly. This so I keep coming back to these because this is perfect framework on a monthly chart. What's the problem? There's 4 years has transpired since the low. You did nothing for 2 years. You went up, you reacted, and within 1 month hit it, and the next month rolled over. That's how 1-2s play out. And so Baba going to 77 is really not a big deal. And there's no opportunity until that does happen. That's it. That's kind of the bigger move here. So please take that to heart. Like if we don't see something in a really nice trend, it's doing an obvious type 2. We just let it be. And that can take weeks. It's almost a strategy unto itself. How to wait this stuff out. Easy to jump on it. But don't get stuck in the drawdown. Any more? Because I know what I'm doing. I will be in on Monday, guys, and then I'm probably taking the rest of the week off next week. And I'll have an update, do like a July update, shoot out the email. But it's going to tell you guys just, hey, go on vacation. This is the time. Enphase, Solar Edge, First Solar, they all need to trigger daily dots. First Solar, I was looking at that last night. All right, that's probably done for now, but starting next month. Still love it. Still love the solar trade. Longer term, I'd be looking for entries on all of this. Here you go. This is First Solar. Arrow Diamond Dot. Come on back. 1 and 2. This is where framework. So you understand it. Be clear about it. Framework's got to come back. Next jump on point is like 198 on First Solar. Weekly time frames like this. Look at all these patterns. It's all type 1 and type 2 on both of them, the crab and the bat. So just look blindly. There's nothing else saying that, this is going to get out of the type 2 return until we get back to 180. And I think it's going to be another great opportunity back at 180 though. The other one is End Phase. That was massive. Type 1. I need a dot. I need a dot. I need something. Still love it. This daily. There you go. That we do have a dot on the daily. What was that? That was Tuesday was day one. And we got to get above, like, you need a couple of bullish days before we can even assume this thing is going to start the resumption move back up. I think Solar Edge is probably your best opportunity. Hold on. Get back here. There's a daily dot there. I like what's going on here. And weekly, monthly, even. There's your monthly time frame. Rejected off the XA, but you're still in that area of just consolidation. The daily, this daily setup, I'll start looking literally next week. Today is day one. Today is day one off of that signal. There, and we haven't even checked it back yet. So these are longer term creatures. They're going to take time. Other things, I don't know, just where we are in the last week, we've kind of like closed the door on a lot of this stuff. Even like Seagate. Look, Seagate was another high flyer. Look at that chart. They're the ones that rolled out SanDisk, or was that Western Digital? Either way, we will get a yellow dot on Monday. Yeah, I've seen enough. I've seen enough on these. Yeah, look, Seagate this week. That's week one. Seagate, that'll be official. And what you're looking for, use this for a lot of these. All right, you cross the 50 line like there. At a minimum, you're going to go sideways until we can turn back around. So 4 weeks, 6 weeks, sideways up here. That's what it's saying. I think, look, circle back. Number one index in the whole world. SOX. All right, we crossed the 50. That's official today. Just like what we saw, you got to go back to early March. And you went sideways for 4 or 5 weeks, and then you turned it around. I think that's kind of the minimum assumption here. What a bummer. It was fun, but that's it for now. The rest of it, I'll be looking for probably unique opportunities. I don't like a lot of the things that have developed. Microsoft up 17 today. Great. Can we really? I mean, that needs, even that would need to turn around. We retested the weekly, which was the numbers were 352 to 374. But even there, I wouldn't even wait. And I would wait until next week before making any assessment. What about TAN? TAN, yeah, TAN came off a target one. I like the solar trade. Where's the next retrace entry? That's it. And that crossed the 50 line. It was what? 2 weeks ago. And about to get oversold. The best thing for this would be to get oversold next week and then maybe put in some kind of oversold trigger, $50, 52. and then go again. That's the larger picture going on here. I really, this stuff takes time when you're dealing with these weekly, even monthly patterns, but weekly patterns, it's a lot of days to fill in between swinging from one position to the next. And we're not far off a lot of these levels. They're not. I'm open. Yeah, I think tan it will be a big winner. And I think tan is something where you're down here. I know it seems kind of crazy, but we're looking for this thing to be back target two-ish 90 or 110. Remember, tan is this back-to-back patterns. Forget the whole range, but no, you're looking back-to-back patterns, and you're looking for this to eventually get back to 128. What happened in the last month is a blip. That's it. And it's the first red candle, big red candle since the low. So I'm all good with it, guys. I'll be looking for kind of unique plays. Like here's Spotify. All right, monthly oversold. Won't be official till next week, but if you go and break that down, look what's here. A bat pattern down here, a yellow dot. All right, so that makes Monday day one, even though today's up 24 today. Don't even look at that until tomorrow, until Monday. Those are the things I'm going to be looking for. And it's not going to be like the last 3 months. That's the other really clear takeaway. You're going to be scratching. There'll be some slim pickings, but we'll handle the whole environment properly, pacing ourselves, not jumping into garbage, and just trying to eye up things on the radar. Like here's UEC uranium with the first bat pattern since all the way down at 4. Now you got another bat pattern at 10. All right, I think this is still early, but I like the uranium trade. I'm still thinking semiconductors, power generation, solar. What was the other one? Data centers. But if they're going to take more time, let's not kid ourselves and just wait for that next trigger, because a lot of them did get overbought. It's again, I come back to Rivian, guys. Rivian really interesting kind of move earlier in the year. And I said, hey, this is impressive stuff, but we're going to have to let this do the retrace. Beginning of the year, Rivian tried to do a move. And I said, no, we got Gartley. We got to deal with this type 1 Gartley, which it did, at 22. Could have easily jumped in and said, all right, this thing's going to go. It's framework, reaction, type 1, got to target 1. There's our dot. Literally, did we retest that? 1436. Not yet. So we haven't even hit the level we need to do to send that back up yet. But that's kind of the situation where we've entered across the board on a lot of big names. We need to kind of let the air out of the tire. Beyond that, chill, wait and see. Yeah, I think those other quantum trades too. Again, they're gonna come back. They're gonna retest levels, and they'll probably trigger later in the summer when everybody's like throwing away the towel here. What was this? QC Quantum Cyber. No, that's not it. No, where was QUBT? That's the one. Yeah. QUBT, quantum computing. Dud reaction, beautiful shark. Where's going to be the bigger jump on point? It's probably back down around $8. That's it. The rest of it, I don't know, guys. Take this time. This happens. And I don't want to be forcing stuff. We're not even close. That's the other thing is like we're not even close to turning things around in a major way. And so let it all kind of fall, quite frankly. Micron, down 50. Yeah, I don't, Marriott is incredible. Even that, like all of these, like Caterpillar, they all did their runs. Like everything that we talked about back in March and April, they all did their runs. Where's Caterpillar? Where's and Cummins engine? Like there's CMI. That was just 2 weeks ago. But we were talking about Cummins engine down here at 547. And this one went dot to dot 547 to almost 700, came back, and then another 650 to 730, and we'll get another dot probably Monday. And that for now, that's about it. And just pause it out. Caterpillar, same deal, but that was even stronger. I mean, Caterpillar was 1050, guys. But and that's as strong of an uptrend as you're going to get. I mean, that's just insane. Not even like a year ago, not even a year ago. Year ago, that was 380. Now it's 1,000. But we're overcooked. We need to come back down on Caterpillar. And I love that. I like Valero, but this is one of the strongest ones you can get. Strongest trenders. They actually make something. And I still say this will be continue to go for the next several years on the same path. You're overextended now. On that one, you're overbought and you're overextended now. And let it come back down. It's not 1,000, it's like 900. So just take that to heart. Take this time, folks. I mean, really take this time. Don't be jumping into stuff that's like overdone. We'll get back into, doing some NQ stuff. Fine by me. And continue to keep it light. And everything else, wait for the signals. Wait for Dell to come in and give us some dots down here, but all of that's lower. Take the time to recognize that this stuff is you're unfolding pure signals. All right, that have been phenomenal. I mean, the Dell signal back in January, geez, 100 to almost 500. Now come back down. That's about what I have. I mean, I'm having last several days extremely hard pressed to find anything that's truly set up, ready to go right now. And the rest of it, I don't know. I mean, I'm everything. Here's Celsius, okay, but where's my confirmation? And I talked about this on monthly. Sorry, I talked this on Monday about how this versus Monster Energy were two different charts. Yeah, maybe maybe this is overdone or it's on a discount, but it has not triggered. And that's probably the thought. It's like if you don't have a trigger signal, yeah, it's on a discount, but it's not ready to turn around. No trade here. Other ones that like what could be a surprise for me? I'm really hard pressed to find things that are ready to go. So just take that for what it's worth. Plainly want to be waiting for Amazon and Apple and Dell and these other ones to give us obvious triggers. And then that would start the next wave, which I think the next wave of what we're looking for into 2027, 2028 are higher levels, those 3618s like this. I still say QQQ and the SPY go above 800, but for now, they've kind of reached these short term objectives. This is a perfect 314 on the SPY. It's a big number, too. And that's right there. That's like 7600 basically. 7600. Pause, come in, and then we'll make that final run, which will be a 3618. You'll see. I really think the socks move, guys. 8200. That's a fair upside cycle objective. And I push that off. I thought maybe we could really do it this summer. Push that off into next year before we see a larger correction. Let me be clear about that too. Like before, like everyone's looking for a crash and we're overdone and over whatever. Uh, Not yet. What I'm talking about here is just another little zip pause. We go down here and we're going to get oversold again, and then we'll do that run to like 8,200. And that's still going to be the upside objective. The larger for what started from 2022, it's like 8,200. But let's do a pullback right now. SoFi, yeah, not bad. I mean, it's got exactly what you want to see. Arrow dot diamond checked back at 15, now 17. I will definitely agree with you. Absolutely. Okay. That's exactly what you want to see plus a couple of bars. Which all right, I can dig my kind of teeth into that, and I like what's going on. This is development for sure. Who said that? Anthony, great one. The only thing I'm going to argue with is say, get me up there. And then I could get follow through. A lot like what you saw back here in 2025. You were piercing it. And then once you really started breaking above that obvious congestion, it was gone. So that was here at what was it, 7878 there. And then you broke up. And then that started the segment, like where you could go from there to dot. That's how you should be looking at it, thinking about it. I gotta automate that shit. I really need to put that together into like one automated combo. I mean, we've got the diamond and everything, but where it really goes with plus 50, it's probably what I'm going to spend my next month on. Probably just the optimization. So I'll be in the mornings, guys. Expect that. We'll do our session on Monday. If I sell Intel, I really don't want to sell Intel. I kind of want to hold on to Intel forever, but I don't want Intel to do a massive retrace. But we'll see. Other than that, I'm hunting, looking for opportunities. I just think we're at another point here where we just have to let it shake out, and they will set up, but we're not anywhere close. Beyond that, guys, take this time. I'm serious. Like, we spend a lot of time looking at charts. You do need to find a time to basically pace yourself inside the marathon or triathlon. Imagine this is the triathlon where you ran the half marathon. Now you got to go swim, or you did the swimming part, and now before you do the marathon, you're going to take 5 minutes and rest. That's where we are. Take the next 2-3 weeks. It will literally be like 4th of July, unbelievable, next week. So markets will be closed next Friday. Monday, like I said, I'll be in the morning. Maybe Monday and Tuesday, I'll be in the morning, and we'll get back to some whacking some NASDAQ, set up NASDAQ. But afternoons, I think I'm done for a little while. Take the next few weeks and just only be in the mornings, which is fine. And then, we get a good day. We got a good day. Beyond that, I don't expect a hell of a lot to take shape, and we'll probably start seeing a lot of these type of 1-2 scenarios. And I'll say this: the 5-minute RTH has just been phenomenal, and so maybe hit 1 or 2 of those and be done. That's it. Been fun. Look, it was amazing 3 months, guys. But it has flared out, absolutely flared out. So let's just wait for that next set of signals. That's why we have the software. That's why we do what we do. We're not going to have opportunities all the time. Don't, Bruce Jenner. Come on. How can you misgender him or her? See, I just did it. Joking, or all jokes aside, guys, really take this time. I'll be back. I'll be back on Monday. I'll be posting some things. Also, if you're looking for videos on the Discord, I'm moving some things around. So I'm going to take this time and kind of put together, organize the content and kind of update, change some things around a little bit. And you guys have any questions, hit me up over here. Just DM me really quick. The gold chat, the gold crypto. No, not gold crypto. I'm almost tempted to delete everything related to crypto. Gold circle. So I'm uploading the Sprout video thing. I'm going to be replacing the rest of these links. But if you have any questions or you're looking for something, let me know. I've got all of the our strategy sessions are going to be, they will be in a separate thread here. Okay. And I will get one more update out, the July update. We'll just take care of it. And then listen, just be ready to kind of chill next month. That's what I have, folks. Appreciate it. You guys have any questions, you know where to reach me. And until Monday, enjoy your weekend. I will see you then. We will be meeting at 10 o'clock, and then that will probably be it. Like, I will be taking some days. Great. All right. Thanks, everybody. Catch you next time.